Do you ever open a fresh can of wet food, set it down in front of your cat, and they just stare at you like you've completely lost your mind? Or worse, they sniff it once, look offended, and walk away like you just insulted their entire bloodline. Meanwhile, you're standing there thinking, isn't this supposed to be the good stuff? Because every expert says wet food is healthier, more hydration, better nutrition, closer to what cats are designed to eat. So why is your cat acting like it's poison? Here's the thing, your cat isn't being picky. They're responding to something very real. Something most owners completely miss. And once you understand what's actually going on inside their brain and body, fixing this becomes surprisingly simple. But the biggest mistake most people make, they try to force the switch. And that's exactly what makes the problem worse. So, let's break down what's really happening and how to fix it fast. 1. Your cat doesn't recognize wet food as safe. Here's what most cat owners don't realize. Cats don't judge food the way we do. They don't think in terms of healthy or unhealthy. They think in terms of safe or dangerous. In the wild, eating the wrong thing once could be fatal. So, cats evolved to be extremely cautious about new food, especially if it smells or feels unfamiliar. This is called food neophobia, and it's incredibly strong in cats. Now, think about it. If your cat has been eating dry kibble for months or even years, that dry food becomes their safe reference. Same smell, same texture, same crunch every single day. Then suddenly, you place something completely different in front of them. Soft, moist, stronger smell, different temperature. To you, it's just wet food. To your cat, it's something unknown. And unknown equals risk. So they don't eat it. Not because they hate it, but because their brain is literally trying to protect them. Now, you might be thinking, but my cat eats everything else. Sure, but food is different. Cats are far more cautious with what they eat than what they play with or explore because food goes inside their body, and their instincts take that very seriously. Tattoo. The smell is too strong. Yes, really. This is where it gets really interesting. Cats rely on smell for more than taste. In fact, if something doesn't smell right to them, they won't even try it. And wet food, it smells way stronger than dry food. But here's the twist. Stronger doesn't always mean better, especially if your cat isn't used to it. Imagine eating plain rice your whole life, and suddenly someone hands you extremely spicy food. Even if it's delicious, your first reaction might be hesitation. That's exactly what's happening here. Wet food has more exposed fats, higher moisture, stronger protein scent. All of this makes the smell more intense, and for some cats, it's overwhelming. So, instead of triggering hunger, it triggers caution. This is why some cats will sniff the food repeatedly, scratch around it like they're trying to bury it, or walk away completely. They're not rejecting food, they're rejecting the intensity of it. 3. Temperature matters more than you think. Now, here's something almost nobody talks about. Cats are extremely sensitive to food temperature. In the wild, prey is warm, fresh, close to body temperature. That's what their brain is wired to expect. So when you take wet food straight out of the fridge, cold, dense, slightly stiff, your cat doesn't see it as food. They see it as something off. Even if it's the exact same food they normally eat, temperature alone can make them reject it. This is why some cats will eat wet food one day and refuse it the next. Nothing changed except the temperature, and their brain immediately flags it as unfamiliar. 4. Texture is a bigger deal than flavor. Here's another hidden factor. Cats are obsessed with texture more than most owners realize. Some cats prefer smooth paint. Others want chunks. Some like gravy. Others hate anything wet and slippery. If the texture feels wrong, they won't eat it, even if they like the flavor. Think about how your cat eats dry food. Crunch, predictable, consistent. Now, compare that to wet food. Soft, uneven, sometimes sticky. It's a completely different sensory experience. And if your cat doesn't like that feeling in their mouth, they'll reject it instantly. This is why switching brands doesn't always work, because the issue isn't the brand, it's the texture. 5. You might be switching too fast. This is the biggest mistake and it's the reason most cats refuse wet food. Owners go from 100% dry food to 100% wet food overnight and expect their cat to just accept it. But from your cat's perspective, that's a complete food replacement. No transition, no familiarity, just sudden change. And sudden change is equal to danger. So they stop eating, or they eat less, or they wait it out hoping their old food comes back. And many times it does because the owner gives up, which actually reinforces the behavior. Your cat learns, if I ignore this new food, I'll get my old food back. And now the resistance gets stronger. How to fix it fast without stressing your cat. Alright, now that you understand the real reasons, let's fix this properly. Step 1. Start with a mix, not a switch. Don't replace the food, blend it. Start with 90% dry food, 10% wet food. Mix them together. Let your cat smell both, taste both. Get familiar with the new scent slowly. Then over a few days shift the ratio 802070306040. This gradual exposure removes the threat response and turns the new food into something familiar. Step 2. Warm it slightly. This is one of the fastest fixes. Take the wet food and warm it slightly. Not hot, just slightly warm. You can add a little warm water or microwave for a few seconds. This releases the aroma in a natural way and makes it smell more like fresh prey. Most cats respond to this immediately. Step 3. Match the texture. If your cat hates pate, stop offering pate. Try shredded textures, chunky pieces, gravy-based food. Watch how your cat reacts. The moment you find a texture they accept, stick with it. Because once they accept the texture, everything else becomes easier. Step 4. Use toppers. This works shockingly well. Here's a simple trick that works for a lot of cats. Add something familiar on top, like crushed dry kibble, a tiny bit of tuna water, or their favorite treat crumbs. This creates a bridge between old and new. Your cat starts eating the familiar part and accidentally tries the wet food underneath. Once that happens a few times, the resistance starts fading. Step 5. Control feeding time. Don't leave food out all day. Set specific meal times. Why? Because hunger increases curiosity. A slightly hungry cat is far more likely to try something new compared to a cat that's been grazing all day. But don't starve them. Just create a routine. Feed, wait, remove uneaten food after about 20-30 minutes, then try again at the next meal. Step 6. Be patient, but consistent. This is where most people fail. They try for a day or two, then give up. But for some cats, this process takes time. Not because they're stubborn, but because their instincts are strong. Stay consistent. Don't keep switching strategies. Don't keep changing foods every day. Pick a method and stick with it. The one thing you should never do, never force your cat to eat. No pushing their face toward the food. No starving them until they give in. That breaks trust. And once trust is damaged, everything becomes harder. Feeding, bonding, is in basic behavior. Your goal isn't to win. Your goal is to guide. Why this matters more than you think? Because this isn't just about food. It's about understanding your cat. When your cat refuses wet food, they're not being difficult. They're following instincts that kept their species alive for thousands of years. And when you work with those instincts instead of against them, everything changes. They become more open, more trusting, more adaptable, and feeding stops being a daily struggle. And now, the next time your cat walks away from their food, you won't see it as rejection. You'll see it for what it really is, a signal, a message. Something you can actually understand. Now, I'm curious. Has your cat ever completely refused a food you thought they would love? What did they do? Let me know in the comments. If you made it this far, you understand something most people never will. Cats aren't just pets. They're complex, emotional, instinct-driven beings. Tap the video on your screen to keep learning the hidden language of cats and subscribe to Cat Class because understanding your cat changes everything.